Mr. Blankenship, you were recently in prison for a year on a conviction in the UBB mine explosion case. You have blamed the Obama Justice Department and that administration's war on coal, but many of these mining families did blame you. Can you blame them if they don't think it's right for you to go from the jail cell to the United States Senate?
I don't think that's the question we need to be asking. I think the question we need to be asking is whether we can prevent Upper Big Branch from happening again. This time it happened because the government cut the air in half, and that work was finished only 8 hours before a mine that had been in existence for 17 years exploded. Basically, the government didn't blame me. They blamed the coal miners for not doing their job, which was terribly untrue. The miners had probably 400 years of experience. They did their job. Had I plea bargained during the trial, I would have been admitting that the miners did not do their job. So I couldn't do that. I faced 30 years in prison for a fake charge, and I beat all 3 of the felonies. They put me in jail because I did not stop the coal miners from telling each other that the inspectors had arrived. That's not a law that's on the books. That's a law that the Obama prosecutors made up in preparation for the trial. And the trial was incredibly violative of a person's human rights to a fair trial. They did things like, in order to comply with the rule that they have to give us the documents they're going to use at trial, they gave us 1.5 million documents and told us that the documents they were going to use were in there somewhere. It's incredible. They sent me to prison for a misdemeanor. I was the only prisoner there that was a misdemeanor. It was clear from the beginning to the end that it was a fake prosecution.
But, sir, what do you say to those who say that you have made it about you? Do you accept any responsibility for the deaths of those 29 miners?
No, I'm accepting the responsibility to do everything I can to keep it from happening again. The government cut the air in half. The job was finished 8 hours before the explosion. There's not much else you can say about it. You have to have an explosive atmosphere, no matter whether you have sharp bits or dull bits or plugged water sprays or no water sprays. You have to have an explosive atmosphere. The way you prevent an explosive atmosphere is a lot of airflow. And these guys begged MSHA, i.e. the government, not to make that change. The government should apologize to them and tell them the truth.
Why didn't you insist they didn't make that change?
Because I was not aware that they were making those changes. When you have 119 coal mines, it's impossible to keep up with what every one of them are doing. The things we need to do is we need to bifurcate MSHA into a regulatory and inspector group, investigative group like NTSB and FAA are in the aviation industry. We use maximum technology in the mines to control the atmosphere. And we also need to have a relief valve when the government's trying to make you do something that you don't want to do, and your engineers are at odds with the government's engineers. They shouldn't be able to dictate what you do.